Young lady, what do you want to do with your life?
I want to live in a van down by the river.
Well, you'll have plenty of time to live in a van down by the river when you're living in a van down by the river.
So who knew that would be one of life's aspirations?
Right. So welcome back to Between Mile Markers, guys. Today we're going to have a conversation around one of the bigger questions that we get from you guys out there, which is what steps did we take to actually get started in full-time RV living? So we're going to dive into step by step what we did to get started within this lifestyle. So let's go.
All right, so we have covered this before, but just in case you forgot, every time that we would drive down the road on the highway and I would see an RV, I would always say, hey, that could be us. Hey, there's another one. That could be us. You know, and I had wanted to do this for many years, and I would just, keep plugging away.
Right. But for me personally, I wasn't really enthralled with everything. The idea of living in a small space with two large dogs wasn't really exciting. So it wasn't until I got my latest job where I'm working 100% remote where Lori came to me and said, look, now that you're working 100% remote, can we try this lifestyle at least for a little while? Because, we're not getting any younger and there will come a time where we are not going to be able to do it physically. So why not try it now?
That's right.
And it was that reasoning that really changed my outlook and my mind on this lifestyle. So I decided to have a conversation with my boss, and he was really, entertaining of the idea and said, as long as you can get your work done, then we don't care where you are. So it was at that point that we decided that we were going to take the plunge.
Yeah, and what a fantastic way to see the beautiful country that we live in. So, and that's part of my reasoning why. And, it just took a little persuasiveness on my part.
Right. So as we go through today's conversation, we wanted to let you guys know that you're going to hear some company names and things like that. We wanted to let you know we are not affiliated with anybody or are we sponsored by anybody with it you're going to hear within this video, but we are going to drop links to everything that we talk about today and below in the description below. So please, check them out if you're interested, but we encourage you guys to find your own research and do exactly what works for you guys.
That's right. All right, so first things first, we're going to cover residency and domiciles. So what we needed to do was determine what state we were going to be a resident of. And because we sold our sticks and bricks, we decided that we did a lot of research, and what works for us was the state of South Dakota. And Jason will get into that in just a little bit.
Right. And real quickly, we want to just quickly define what is a domicile, what is a resident, because when we talk, they are kind of the same thing, but they're different. So people can have multiple residences. There are people who have cabins, they have Florida homes. Those are residences. But where you're domiciled is where the state that you are proclaiming that you live in. This is where you would pay your taxes. This is where you would vote. This is where
you get your driver's license.
Exactly. So we do, as Lori mentioned, we decided that our domicile was going to be in South Dakota. Now there are several other states that you can do this in. You're going to want to do some research exactly which state and what their regulations are around that. For us, we chose South Dakota because there is no state income tax. And for me, who's still working full time outside of our lovely YouTube channel here, it's a tax benefit for me to be in South Dakota. And there are a couple other states that do that, namely Florida and Texas.
That's right.
But you need to do some research into what their domicile regulations are.
That's right. For South Dakota, so one of the biggest things is that for insurance reasons, they want to have an inspection done on your rig yearly, and for registration, not necessarily just in insurance, but for registration. South Dakota doesn't have that annual requirement, so we thought that was a benefit for choosing South Dakota.
Right.
Now, Texas and Florida, I'm not sure about Florida, but Texas I know does have an annual inspection that you have to complete before you can register your vehicle. So that was one of the requirements.
Right. And South Dakota was actually one of the easiest states to become a resident of. And we've done a video around, it was just a real quick video early on in our career here. You could check that video out over here. But what we actually had to do is we had to set up a new mailbox system, stay in the state one night with that new mailbox address, and then the next day we could go and get our driver's license, and we were residents of South Dakota.
Yep.
So for us, it was the easy pick.
Very easy.
All right, so let's move on to the next thing.
So Jason just mentioned, what do we do with our mail?
I mean, yeah, when we got started, I was like, okay, so we're out on the road. How do we get our mail? And, what do we do with everything else?
And I was like, I don't even know.
May I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to cancel my mail.
Certainly. How long would you like us to hold it?
Oh, no. I don't think you get me. I want out permanently.
Apparently, quitting the post office is not that easy. So what we did find is we found a service out there that has over 2,300 locations in the US. It's called anytimemailbox.com. And in there, it's a service that you pay for on a monthly basis. And it's got different tiers of service no matter what fits your needs. And from there, you can get a lot of options. All your mail gets funneled through here, and they alert you when you get new mail. And from there, you can take a lot of different options on what you want them to do with that mail. So I encourage you guys to go out and check out their video, check out their website, see what they're all about, see what they're charging you. For us, we're paying about $38 a month.
And then there's also charges like if you want it forwarded to wherever you're located, scanning, you can save it as a PDF file. I mean, you can do so many options like Jason said. So
Right.
it's worth a check out. And there are a couple different companies that provide that service for you. And we just chose Anytime Mailbox, and it's worked for us.
It has. It's worked great. Okay, so next on our list is healthcare. What do you do for healthcare when you're out on the road? Now, fortunately, because I am still working full time, we get our healthcare through my place of employment. And we chose a plan that allows us to go and visit a doctor or an ER anywhere we are in the country as long as they're within our network, which is really, really nice and really convenient. So, so for us, the healthcare choice is really was based off of what was available through my employer.
Right. So, like Jason said, we chose a nationwide plan, and we knew that at least once a year, typically during the summer because it's the nicer months, we were going to come back to Wisconsin and visit. So that's where we decided to have our primary care physician, our dentist, our vision provider, and I just make the appointments when I know that we're going to be back, and we just have our healthcare needs met in that aspect. And then in case there would be something that we would have to visit a doctor for, then we would be able to, get an appointment wherever we were in our country. So also another thing to consider if you have your little fur babies with you is veterinary care. So we have an appointment every year set aside for veterinary care, and that's their annual appointment for their checkup and wellness, as well as vaccinations and things like that.
Yep. And we know that there are a lot of different options out there that you guys can use as far as healthcare, whether you're paying for it on your own, you're getting it through an employer, you're getting it through whatever. So we would love to hear what you guys are using out there on the road for as far as healthcare, dental, everything else, because it not only gives us ideas, but also helps everybody else here in the community. So drop us a comment below and let us know what you guys are using. Also, we also want to remind you guys, please like and subscribe below, ring the bell to make sure you get the notifications whenever we drop new videos. It helps our channel out. We produce this content for you guys and we love doing it. So again, just like and subscribe below, and let's move on to the next topic.
So next we're going to talk about downsizing. And downsizing is very personal. It really, a lot of things can be very sentimental. And what it comes down to is it's just things. And we had a lot of things. But I did a video here talking about a little bit about what we did for downsizing. But we sold our sticks and bricks, so we didn't have a lot of options as what to do with all of our stuff. And we determined that we were going to get rid of a lot, donate a lot, sell a lot, and then also save some of the stuff that we just couldn't part with. But we did it in 3 different phases.
Right.
I mean, it was something that it took a little thought about.
Right. So as you mentioned, we did it in 3 phases. So phase 1, what we decided to do is we knew that we were going to have a storage unit where we wanted to keep all of the sentimental items that you mentioned, things that we didn't want to get rid of, family heirlooms, what have you. So what we did is we decided we were going to rent a certain size storage unit. And what we did is we rented a U-Haul trailer that had about the same size dimensions. And what we did is in the corner of one of our rooms in our house is we took some painter's tape and we taped off on the floor and up the side of the wall those dimensions of that U-Haul trailer. And the decision was whatever can fit inside of that space, we can put in storage. And if it doesn't fit there, well, then we can't take it.
I'm a master packer, so I was able to fit a lot of stuff in there.
Right. So that helped us quite a lot as to be able to decide what was important to us and what was not important to us, depending on if it could fit in that space.
Now, we also decided to keep that storage unit centrally located so our kids could go and peruse it if they needed anything. And they didn't really. So this year we're actually, it's been about 1.5 years, and I'm really second guessing the things that we kept. We are going through it again, the storage unit, and I think we are maybe down to half of what was originally in the storage unit. So we are going to be considering downsizing that storage unit again to something a little bit smaller.
Right. So phase 2 of our downsizing, now that we had everything that we wanted that was in storage, we decided what we could use here in the RV. What could we bring with us? And we kind of did the same thing with phase 1, but it was a much smaller trailer. Taped it off on the corner of the wall, said this is what we can fit in the RV with us, and this is what our essentials are going to be. And we packed that trailer tight. And when we bought the RV and when we unloaded everything, it was pretty tight in here.
It was crazy.
As a matter of fact, we'll put up a link to our nickel tour video that we did, and you can just see this was shortly after we moved into the RV, and you could see how packed we were. And
since then we've downsized in here as well, but you do have to consider weight. I mean,
right.
You don't want to bring in tons of things that is going to weigh you down, because there are regulations on how much weight you can carry while you're traveling down the road. So
exactly.
You want to keep that into consideration as well.
Right. And then our last phase was just to have an estate sale. We decided to, whatever was left over, all of our big items that we were just going to hang on to the last second, we just sold off at the last second. And whatever we couldn't sell, Goodwill got it. Okay, let's talk about internet and TV connectivity. Now, staying connected to the internet and your favorite TV shows are important. However, there are a ton of different options out there for you guys to choose from. And we could actually do an entire video on that subject alone, and we probably will. So, we're just here to tell you today exactly what we're using, because this is what works for us. What we want you guys to do is to go out and do your research and find out exactly what works for you. We mentioned before that, you know, I do work full time and connectivity is very important. So we do spend more than the average bear on our connectivity, and we do have multiple sources for that connectivity. But we just wanted to cover today what we're using.
Yeah. And it's, some people don't really care about TV. They don't watch TV. And right now, uh, with all the stuff that's going on in the world, sometimes you just want to disconnect. But this is our home, and we are doing things like we would in a sticks and bricks. We're just mobile on wheels. So anyway, there are so many different worthy streaming options available that you can get every single channel out there. And we belong to a couple of them, and we really enjoy watching, like Jason said, our favorite TV shows and series. So uh,
Yeah, I mean, the one streaming service that we do use the most is YouTube TV. And we chose YouTube TV because as we travel around the US, we like to watch the local channels. We like to see what's happening locally. YouTube TV does give you the opportunity that when you change your location within your settings, you can change it to the local channels. Now, the one caveat with that is every few months or so, you do have to check back into your home network area in order to keep that active. Otherwise, what you have to do is you have to say, no, I'm living here, and then change it from there. But every so often, you need to sign back into that home area if that's what you want to keep.
And I think with that service, it was that you are able to change your home location 3 times a year. So it's, even if you were to change it and you're traveling around, I mean, we just make it work.
Right.
So that's one of the options that we chose out there.
Right. So we encourage you guys to do your research. As Lori mentioned, there's lots of different services out there. Find the best that works for you.
Yeah. All right. So by the time we've gotten to this point, you pretty much have decided maybe what your rig is going to be, if you got one in the works or whatever. But I just wanted to go through, there's so many different options out there. And I knew that for us personally, I wanted to be able to travel with our fur babies and Jason in the same rig. So we chose the Class C, but there's Class A, there's travel trailers, there's fifth wheels, there's so many different options out there. And all I have to say is, regardless, you just got to get an inspection done.
Right, right. Whether or not you're buying brand new or used,
Doesn't matter.
You want to have that inspection done, because you never know what people have done to a used rig, or what kind of defects might be on even a brand new rig.
Right. That just came from the factory.
Right.
You just don't know.
And even though you've got a manufacturer's warranty on it, sometimes they can be hard to get in. Sometimes it won't be covered by that. A lot of companies offer extended warranties, which we actually inherited when we bought our rig used.
Very nice, because we've used it.
We've used it a couple times now. So, but my point is, just get it inspected. You would not buy a house out on the market, a sticks and bricks house, without getting an inspection done on it.
Well, at least we wouldn't.
We're right. Yeah, we wouldn't. But we're telling you guys, get it inspected, make sure that everything is working okay. And if everything is not, that at least gives you a bargaining point on what you can do with the price.
Absolutely. All right. So now that we talked about the different rigs and stuff, now the next thing is to talk about insurance. That also depends on your domicile state. So wherever your driver's license is where you're going to get your insurance through. And several companies out there, we have Progressive, but there is, I know, State Farm, Foremost.
Good Sam, I think,
Good
has.
Sam. They all cover full-timers insurance, and that's very important that you want to specify that you are full-timers. You don't want anything to come in the way of getting that insurance payout should you need it. And God forbid anything happens, but I'm a big insurance believer. So
She is.
we just want to make sure that you guys are thinking about that and are covered. So, and it pays to shop around.
Sure.
Like I said, there's only a handful that I know of that cover full timers. And if you know of a different one that I didn't mention or that we didn't mention, please drop us a comment below and let us know, because like I said, it pays to shop around and make sure you're getting the best deal.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, well, that's a lot to consider.
For sure. And it's going to look different for everybody. First of all, depends on what your domicile state will, be. So,
Yeah, I mean, from here, the one thing that you guys have to do once you make that decision, you have all this stuff in place, is consider what you're going to need once you get out on the road. Now, we've recently done a video on what your day one essentials are going to need to be. So check out that video over here. And again, please leave us a comment below. Tell us what you guys think. If we missed anything here of the things that you had to do to get out on the road. And again, like and subscribe below. Hit that notifications bell. Make sure you guys get all the new content as we drop it. And we'll see you next time
between
mile markers.